Sneaky Nation, it's time to officially welcome Nova Prime to our Warframe series. So the regular Nova was my favorite frame for a while. She's still one of my favorites, but it's great to finally have the Prime version. So we're going to check out all of her stats, compare her to the regular Nova, and also take a quick look at all of her abilities one by one. So let's get started. Please remember to show your support on the video as always, and if you're new, join us in Sneaky Nation by clicking subscribe. Let's do this. And here she is, everybody. So Nova Prime wreaks devastation on her enemies using volatile antimatter, featuring altered mod polarities for greater customization. So we'll take a look at all that stuff in a bit. We're going to start with the abilities, go through each of them one by one, then we'll compare the two of them afterwards. First up, we have Null Star. Creates antimatter particles that orbit Nova and seek nearby targets. Alright, let's give this a shot now. Okay, so as you can see, there are a bunch of little tiny orbs circling around us. These are attacking the enemies. Now the damage is affected by power strength. The number of particles actually there is affected by power duration. And then the range is of course affected by power range, or the radius rather. So it does help out a little bit. I don't really find myself using this very often with Nova, but I suppose if you have good enough power efficiency, then it's probably a good idea to just keep it active at all times, because it does help out a little bit. I mean, every little bit counts when you're trying to take down enemies, really. So we'll just keep letting it disappear. After they all deplete, just keep recasting. I mean, it doesn't really cost that much. It's the first ability. So especially with the power efficiency build, then this could potentially become something that you can cast to infinity and beyond. But I mean, I'm not even really attacking the enemies. I know Chewie's kind of providing me a little bit of backup support here, but it's doing pretty decent damage to these enemies. This is on Phobos, so they're all at least level 20. I didn't want to try on too high of a level mission, but still gives a general idea of what to expect from it. Try it out for a little bit longer. Take down these fools, please. Does take a little bit of time. Chewie's a little too vicious. This is more of something that you want to just have as like a backup support. It's not something you want to rely on completely. Like, it's something to chip away at the enemy's health just a little bit more. Like Chewie, the Kubro, he's not really necessarily the main force to be reckoned with here. It's supposed to be me dealing most of the damage. He's like the backup. This is like the backup for Chewie, if anything. He deals a lot more damage than this ever will, but it's still nice to have it active, I guess. Next up, we have Antimatter Drop. Launches a contained particle of antimatter that will detonate upon collision with increased deadliness when targeted by weapons. Now this ability is actually really interesting. So it detonates on impact automatically once it hits a solid object. It happened to be the enemy in that situation. And we can actually cause it to move around based on where we're moving the aiming reticle. So we got it to go all the way up there. It's moving all over the place. Once it eventually hits a solid object, it will explode. But as it's moving around, it's absorbing all the damage that everybody's inflicting upon it. That's both me and the enemies. So we're going to try another one. We can also throw out multiples at the same time, too. Damn, this is getting a little bit hectic for my liking. Get out of here, sir. Wow, there are a lot of enemies around everywhere. Okay, let's just get out of that sticky situation real quick. Okay, now once they come through, we'll be ready for them. Alright, so it's going to absorb all the damage we're inflicting upon it. If we're looking directly at it, it goes a lot slower. The amount of damage is also affected by power strength, so might want to have some power strength builds on your Nova, or Nova Prime in this situation. And I don't really use this ability all that often myself, but it actually is really solid now that I've been testing it out some more. There are a lot of abilities I didn't really use too much because I kind of figured they were kind of useless. Like, let's just take Nyx's Psychic Bolt, for example. I was assuming a lot of frames had just one ability where it was just basically useless, but it's not necessarily the case with every frame. Okay, so let's try out another one. It's going to blow up as soon as it hits the door. There we go. And then it just explodes into the environment. The interesting thing about it too is it can absorb up to 50,000 damage apparently. So it is very similar to Nyx's absorbability in a sense. Just the way that it functions and whatnot. Obviously it's not protecting me in any real fashion. But it's definitely interesting. It should be mixed into my actual strategy from now on in the future. One more for good measure. Let's get a good one here. Let's get a really good one. There we go. For the win. Well, not for me. And now that brings us up to Wormhole. Creates a wormhole allowing instantaneous travel. Okay, now this ability has a number of different uses. Let's say we're getting swarmed by a bunch of enemies right here, which we currently are, and they're all over the place. We're almost dead in this situation, and we see that there's a little bit of safety over there, so we want to get over there really fast. We lay down a wormhole, and now we're all the way across the way, and this will actually go as far as your power range allows it to, and it will stay active for as long as your power duration allows it to. So those are the two mods that primarily affect it. And not only can you use it, but also your allies can use it, so all your friends playing with you can travel through it as well. Apparently the enemies can too. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's what the wiki says, so I'm gonna kind of try to take their word for it, even though I'm kind of skeptical about that. I've never seen that happen before. And let's just use this really quick. Alright, so also for like a fast travel purpose, like let's say we completed the objective and we just want to get to the extraction point as quickly as possible. So let's start up here. Okay, so we want to get all the way down there. We see that the extraction point is ready for us. We're getting in danger. We just want to keep trying to push out of here as fast as possible. So we're running along, and we just throw down a wormhole, and now we're instantly down here. That just saved us a little bit of time. That can even help if, like, let's say the life support's getting really low and I need to get to one of the life capsules really fast. So I can instantaneously get over there. Every little bit of time counts. Every second counts. And also, it can help you get into really hard to reach areas that you may not necessarily be able to otherwise. Like, let's take for example, I've never been up here personally. I know Parkour 2.0 can help with a lot of these situations, but I don't know about every spot. Get out of my way. Come on, Dane Abbott. There's really no purpose being up here. Maybe if you want to snipe or something. This might help get you into a little bit of a safety net if you get all the enemies covered down there. But it's just interesting all the different tactics you can use it for. And finally, that brings us to her ultimate ability and her best one by far. Even, I would go as far to say it's one of the best abilities in the game. Molecular Prime. So, primes all enemies in a radius with volatile antimatter. Alright, now here it is everybody, Molecular Prime. So we cast this, all the enemies are now affected by it. In my case, they're going slower. This is actually affected by power strength. They can either be speed or slow. I've seen some speed novas. I don't really see them too often personally. And I've primarily seen them when somebody's playing an Orokin Derelict defense mission against the Infestation. But I've never tried it personally, so I don't really know what the true benefits are to having a Speed Nova over a Slow Nova. But Slow Nova is great because it slows down the enemies, it allows you to gain control of the situation if it starts getting out of hand, like a lot of enemies are swarming you. It allows you to keep them under control because you can make them slow, and then also you can cause them to explode upon their health depleting. And then there's also a domino effect that kind of takes place with that too. They start exploding further and further. If a bunch of enemies are right next to each other, then potentially take them all out by just killing one enemy. And it works out great. So power strength affects the speed. If it's either really high to make them slow or really low to make them fast. And then power range will allow the explosion radius upon detonation like that to increase. Power duration is actually what gets you more enemies primed. It's actually called priming them once they're highlighted like that. And this is just an amazing ability. It's great for going the distance in survival and defense missions. And it's just overall one of the most important possible abilities you can use on really any team if you think about it. So just one more for good measure. This is only one enemy. One enemy. Oh, there's a few. Look at that. Chewie attacked that one. It caused him to explode too. Kill that one. Chewie almost stole that kill from me. And this allows you to even solo really easily too. I mean, it helps it group out fantastically, but solo play works out. Just overall, can't get enough of this ability. I can't really praise it enough. Alright, so let's compare the two more closely. So Nova upgrading to Nova Prime will have two base stat changes. Now, shield goes from 75 up to 100, which is 25. It doesn't seem like a lot, but once you put a redirection on there, it's going to make a big difference. And then power goes from 150 up to 175. Again, a small number, but it's going to make a big difference once you put a flow on there. Because the mods go by a percentage rather than a base number, so the higher the value, the more the percentage can have an effect on it. Alright, so clearly that alone is enough of a reason to upgrade to Nova Prime. Now let's compare their polarity icons already on there by default. So she has two V shapes, and that's it. I mean, that's a good start. Not a bad start by any means. And then Nova Prime, so what's your configuration be so we can get a closer look. Alright, so she has the two V shapes over here, and then she has an additional one. So she has three of the V shapes. So if that's the build you're going for, then clearly it's worth investing into her because you don't have to worry about ranking up to 30 and then using the form on her. I mean, I don't really like the hassle of going through that. It's very time consuming. This saves you a lot of time. Although you do have to spend a lot more time trying to farm her, so I guess it kind of evens out. If anything, it might actually take more time to get Nova Prime in the end. Alright, so clearly Nova Prime is worth upgrading to if you're a fan of regular Nova and you're trying to take your game further. That's why I'll be using her mostly from now on. She still is one of my favorite frames again, and I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. So, as always, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Damn, how did I get a good spot here? Alright, here we go. I hope you enjoyed. As always, please remember to show your support on the video, leave a like and favorite to let me know you enjoy and you want to see more videos in the future. Also, if you're new, join us in Seeky Nation by clicking subscribe, that way you don't have to miss any of those videos. And I will see you next time.